Welcome to the video. Today we're going to do a little bit of Yassine style. And I'm not just talking about changing the style of the video. My in-person real-life card setup hasn't been great, and I apologize for lighting and glare issues in some of the videos that I've posted. So today I'm going to try the EDO Pro with the face video, much like Yassine. But I'm also talking about Cyber Dragons. Yes, Yassine is known for his Cyber Dragons. They're his favorite. It's his logo. But I also love Cyber Dragons, and the thing that I've been playing around with recently is Cyber ABC. So I'm going to share my deck list with you, share some combos, share some test hands, and give you an idea of how you could play this deck and be fairly competitive in the current meta. Now, don't get me wrong, it's nowhere near Drytron or Tri-Brigade status or anything like that right now, but for July 2021, this deck doesn't do too bad. So like and subscribe to the page if you like this content, if you like these videos, and let's go ahead and just jump right into the deck profile, and I'll start going over some of these details. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. So it's a little bit out of order just from testing, but first we'll go through the hand trap selection here, and I have 3 Imperm, 3 Ash Blossom, and 3 Droll and Lockbird. Now, Droll and Lockbird hits Drytron pretty hard. It also hits Tri-Brigade some. It's just a very high impact hand trap, and I highly suggest running it in the meta right now. Ash Blossom just hits everything, and Imperm is nice for stopping your opponent from activating monster effects during the main phase. Now, obviously, these 9 cards can be traded out for different things. If you want to run Cyber ABC Trap and you want to run traps instead of hand traps, that would be interesting. Not something that I've experimented with, so don't take my word on how good that is. I honestly don't know that it would be that good because you wouldn't see the traps frequently enough to rely on them, but if you want to take different hand traps out, move different ones in, like Cycle Reader or something like that, obviously that's what your side deck is for in game, but also just in general in deck building, that's something that you should consider. And now we'll just jump right into the Cyber Dragon engine. I run 1 Cyber Dragon, 1 Natcher, 1 Hers. I run 3 Core, 3 Galaxy Soldier, and 3 Cyber Emergency. And then this is just the Jizukiru, the Machine Kaiju. Now, it's not a terrible idea to run, maybe 2 Natcher or 2 Hers. Or cut down to 1 Galaxy Soldier. I've just found this ratio to be nice for starting hands because of what cards go together to do combos, which I'll talk about later in a different video. Depends how long this ends up being. And then obviously Jizukiru, you can tribute off your opponent's monsters, slam down Jizukiru, and then go into Fortress Dragon. So, the Cyber Dragon engine, even though we're running the smaller version of it, it's still pretty strong. Natcher is a great extender. The Cyber Dragon's just to search off of the Hers if need be, and you're almost always going to see a core because you have 3 core and 3 Cyber Emergency, so you essentially play 6 core. So this is a very nice engine. That I think that these ratios are decent. Like I said, you could cut Galaxy Soldier down to 2. The reason you cut it down to 2 is because the third one ends up being a brick, but I kind of go with the logic of I'd rather see it in my hand than worry about bricking later in the game. And there's 4 more cards down here. They're spells and traps. I run 1 Cyber Repair Plant, which is a must. You have to run 1. Running 2 is not terrible, but I don't think it comes up too often. I like the 1 just to get going. And then I run 2 Overload Fusion. You could replace one of the Overload Fusions with Cyberload Fusion. Again, I actually kind of like seeing Overload Fusion in my hand, because if I see Overload Fusion in my hand, I don't have to go into Anaconda to get to the fusion. Or if I get to Anaconda, I can go into Red Eyes Fusion instead of Overload. But But again, that's personal preference. If you'd rather have a play set up for the late game and throw Cyberload in there, then totally do that. That's fine. Just make sure you have at least one Overload and one Cyberload. And then the last Cyber Dragon card here, Cybernetic Overflow. Great trap. Say that you have Cyber Repair Play in your hand, you activate Core, and you don't necessarily have a monster you need to search or anything. You can search Cybernetic Overflow, add it to your hand. Great card for disrupting your opponent on their turn if you're going first. Must play at least one. I've seen decks play 2 to 3 even, just depending on how you want your interruption set up. Especially the trap version that I have been playing around with plays 3. So now we're getting to the juicy side engine here is this ABC engine. We play 2A Assault Core, 2C Crush Wyvern, 2B Buster Drake. I play 1 Union Driver, 3 Unauthorized Reactivation, 3 Union Hanger, 1 Terraforming, and then so you can see that we run a 43 card engine. So the 3 cards extra are Red Eyes Fusion, Dark Magician, and Red Eyes. If you don't want to run Dragoon, just cut those 3 cards out and run the list as is, and it will operate just fine. The reason I added Dragoon in is because there were a lot of times if you brick or if you're interrupted where you're really the biggest downfall of this deck is not having the extension capabilities all of the time, especially going first. It's not super great. Obviously going second you can swipe cards with Chimera Tech, Mega Fleet and things like that, so like that's nice. But going second or going first, sometimes you run into issues where you stall out and you really can only get a Link 2 out. But luckily with Anaconda, you get Link 2 Anaconda, send Red Eyes Fusion, summon Dragoon, and then you're not helpless going into your opponent's turn. And then usually if you stall, you have cards in hand, and a lot of the cards get effects when sent to the graveyard. So take that into consideration. Playing the Dragoon engine, I found my starting boards end up a lot stronger. If you've watched my Cyber Dragon deck profile, I played Dragoon in there as well. I think it just makes the deck stronger when you can end on Dragoon Infinity, or in this case, Dragoon Infinity ABC Buster. Those are just better than Infinity Buster or just Infinity with Cybernetic Overflow or something like that. Now, I will say part of the reason I played 2 Overload Fusion though in this deck is because it is pretty good going second, so you want to go into Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. And with ABC Buster, the one of the optimal plays is to get out IP Masquerena, so that way on your opponent's turn you can link into Unicorn and pop extra cards even after you've used your Buster Banish. So I'll go into some of those options when we go over combos later. So we'll go into the extra deck here. There's lots of options for the extra deck. So I'll kind of tell you what you could take out, what you could add extra in. But I've liked this setup so far. So it's hard for me to suggest changing too much. So we have 1 Mega Fleet. Lots of people are playing Link Monsters right now, so like going second, Mega Fleet is awesome. We have 1 Fortress. Again, lots of people are playing machines with Drytrons, Sky Strikers. They're all machines. So take that into consideration. Plus, you play the 1 Juzakiru, which is searchable in this deck. So not only do you have other people playing machines, but you can throw a machine on their side of the board and then contact fuse it off. So it's just more ways to clear your opponent's board going second, especially. We have 2 Rampage. I like 2 Rampage. Again, 2 Rampage becomes when you don't play Cyberload. I usually side in Cyberload and see how the games go. If they end quickly, then I don't side it in. If they kind of draw out, then I'll side it in. But Actually, in this deck, Cyberload is nice too because after you overload, you can banish cards and then you can Cyberload and get them back. And but like I said, it's mostly personal preference whether you have 2 overload or 1 overload, 1 Cyberload. I've been playing around with both, and they both win out kind of about the same amount. Honestly, I just liked seeing overload in the hand a little bit better, so I decided to play 2 of those. Anyhow, back to the extra deck. We have 1 Infinity, 1 Nova. I did think about playing 1 Zeus, and I played 1 Zeus for a while, but to play the rest of the cards that make the ABC engine useful, it doesn't really fit in very well. Plus, you don't necessarily want to wipe your own board with this. I don't know. I'd rather have the Infinity Negate than throw on the Zeus. Now, if I'm playing pure Cyber Dragons, Zeus is kind of one of the win conditions. If you watched CaliFX video recently of Cyber Dragons versus Phantom Knights, Zeus put in some work. So just keep that in mind. You can throw a Zeus in here, overlay on top of Infinity, and it's pretty nice, but not necessary in this particular case. So I played 2 ABC Dragon Buster. You could play 3. The reason I play 2 is just for space in the extra deck, and because I found myself very rarely getting into the 3rd one, especially because you only play 2 of each letter, so it makes it harder to get into the 3rd one. So now we have Dragoon and we have Anaconda over here. Obviously for the Dragoon engine, the Anaconda also can search your overload. If you're going second, you don't need the bounce or the negate, and you're trying to OTK, you can always Anaconda overload, go into Rampage, and then attack 3 times with Rampage. So that's not too bad. And then we also have Almirage, which is important for getting the core off the field when you normal summon it. We have Seeger for OTK potential. Seeger can give a monster 2100 attack, so if you can get Seeger and Rampage on the field and get Rampage 3 attacks, that's 4200 attack 3 times. So you can do the math. That's obviously more than 8,000. So just keep that in mind. If you're playing through and you have a battle phase and you can get Seeger Rampage, it's never a bad play to get Seeger Rampage. Next is IP. You have to play IP in the ABC version of the Cyber Dragon deck, because what you do is you on your opponent's turn, you use Buster Dragon's quick effect, banish their card, and then use its other quick effect and bring back the Union monsters, and then you can use IP plus the Union monsters to make a whole variety of things. The first option that I have in this extra deck is Unicorn. Unicorn's just another pop, so that's super useful. You can also include Phoenix in this list if you want to make room for it. There's lots of options here for what you can go into after IP. You could also throw in Appaloosa and make a 4 material Appaloosa, or a 3 material Appaloosa, depending on how you feel. Not a terrible plan. Still only does monster effects, so it's not super great. But the other really cool option is the Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. The reason that this is a good card is because you can steal one of your opponent's monsters. So it's on your opponent's turn, so you just got the banish, then you go IP and use those 3 cards plus IP, and that's actually 5 already, but and that's your 4+ monsters in your 5th. And if your opponent has a monster, then you can grab one of their monsters, so that's another one. And then you can negate all the face-up effects your opponent currently controls. That the Underworld Goddess is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects that don't target. If it's targeted, it's targeted, but if it's not targeted, then it's safe. And once per turn, quick effect, you can negate the activation of certain effects. So Underworld Goddess, definitely a great tech for this. The other thing to consider is the follow-up plays, because next turn you'll have all those letters in the grave again, and you can go into your second Dragon Buster, and Underworld Goddess will stay on the field. So you've just banished and then stole one of their monsters and negated an activation. What are the requirements on that? When your opponent activates a card or effect that special summons monsters from the graveyard. So they can't special summon from the graveyard, and you just stole one of their monsters on top of vanishing one of their cards. I think it's cards, or is it only monsters? Nope, cards. So that's actually a pretty strong combination, and it's kind of hard for them to get over. So going first, if you can make an IP and a Dragon Buster, that's not too bad. So that's it for the deck list, guys. I'll make a different video with the combos, because this one's already getting kind of long, because I tend to ramble on a little bit. But I hope you liked the video. If you want to see that combo video, smash that like button and subscribe. If you want to see more content like this, if you want to see more upcoming videos and deck lists, if you liked the format of this video, make sure to subscribe, so that way I know that I'm doing what's right for you guys, as well as providing good content. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day.